Hey everyone, so we're back at Knoebels again for the 2023 season. We're basically just going to be walking around and taking a look at things around the park for the year. Today's video will feature something new, something old, something borrowed, and something blue. Well, we probably won't be borrowing anything, but at least we can for sure show you something blue. Nice view of Impulse from the entrance. There's your blue. It looks like Flying Turns is open after all. I guess the fifth time finally is the charm. So we'll finally have the chance to ride it. It doesn't look like the line's too long. So hopefully it's a fun ride. The only other bobsled stock coaster that we've been on is Avalanche / Reptilia at King's Dominion. So we only have that to compare it to. We'll see how it compares to that one. Finally in the queue for Flying Turns after all this time. It looks even more impressive from inside. Surrounded by all the wood and metal, all the wood and metal screws. Very interesting thing about this coaster, when you first enter the queue, there is a scale that you step on if you want to ride with somebody. They have a weight limit of 400 pounds, so it has a red or a green light to let you know if you and your riding partner exceed the weight limit. So obviously if the light turns red, you're out of luck and you have to ride separately. And they also have the scales at the entrance to the actual ride right before you get in the coaster cars on the train. So they double check to make sure that your weight is good. And they sometimes will even have to rearrange the order of the people waiting to ride, I guess, to balance out the train. I didn't really understand why that was the case prior to riding, but once we started riding, going up the walls, this thing goes way up the walls, even compared to Reptilia at King's Dominion. So I kind of understand why they would want the weight distribution to be the way it is for safety purposes. It's really great to actually see cars on the track now, though. When we first got in the cars, it's kind of a tight squeeze compared to the openness of the cars on Reptilia, and I thought it was going to be, you know, kind of not very thrilling because there's pads everywhere, but it turns out that it's actually a even more thrilling ride than Reptilia I've found because it gets up on the walls so far. A lot of sharp turns, it goes really fast, so it's a lot of fun for a bobsled coaster. Jen disagrees with my assessment of the coaster, however, she actually prefers Reptilia at King's Dominion to Flying Turns. Full disclosure, we actually did know that Flying Turns was going to be running today because after 4 visits, we finally decided to download the Knoebels app, so we were able to check it to know that Flying Turns was running, so it didn't come as a surprise. Thankfully, it didn't break down before we got here today. Here's another look at 2 of our favorite personalities at Knoebels. Cornelius, the backyard barbecue roasting corn with the pat of butter on his head and the earth in his tip of his finger. And also my other favorite over here, Cosmo, the height measuring fish. Right across the walkway from one another. The SS Jolly Trolley ship that's right across from the log flume. Every time we walked by, we thought it was just some piece of scenery, but it turns out that you can sometimes buy food here. We don't ever see it open, but on the back side they have a menu. So if you saw the short that we posted a couple of weeks ago, we showed this sign about the limited edition collector's tickets that they're doing for the 50th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion. 5 different designs that are releasing gradually over the course of the year. We showed you the first ticket in the short. Now they're up to the second ticket design, which here's a look at the actual physical ticket right here that Jen's holding. So it's got the shiny 50th Haunted Mansion logo on it. It's a pretty sturdy paper, but you can use it just like a regular ticket, or you can keep it as a collectible. So 3 more to go. We'll be back a couple more times to try to get all of them. The park is really celebrating the 50th anniversary of the mansion well. In addition to a couple of unique shirt designs, they have this coffee mug, this tumbler,
Hello.
a couple of different baseball cap designs. One thing we've never done on our many visits to Knoebels is visit this museum that's next to the Black Diamond coaster. It's labeled as a Knoebels History Museum, so we'll see what kind of items they have inside of there. So when you enter the museum, you're essentially entering into a gift shop to start. It has a bunch of mine-related items, gemstones and the like. There's some bags of sand that have various gemstones and fossils and things inside of them. In a little bit I'll show you exactly what you can do with those. I'm sure you have probably seen them in the past. But they also have shelves. The interesting thing is this mural in the background, a three-dimensional factory. And then at the far end of the mural is this miner with his horses, or are they donkeys? I think they're horses, right? The miner with his horses or donkeys. And then beyond that is a player piano for 50 cents. The piano will play music for you. They actually tell you not to play it. They put a sign up there for you. Then you follow along to actually come into the museum. They have an old cash register. The museum entrance is free, but they have a cash register there anyway. And another fun mural back here with Cosmo hidden along in front of the Phoenix coaster. Other designs. an old printing machine behind plexiglass, which is really cool to see. And we're basically going to go, in the interest of time, go on a quick excerpt of the museum, but there's a lot of cool stuff in here related to mining. If you're into looking at history, this might be a kind of place you might want to visit.
Promised by the statue of the harbor and denied to many for the advantage of the few. Nowhere is this more evident than in the lives of the people who worked in the anthracite coal mines of northeastern Pennsylvania. The story of these immigrant anthracite miners and their families inspired a conflict of social forces that dug into the source of power stretching from Wall Street to Pennsylvania Avenue, and stirred the American people to serve justice in a place where sunlight has never reached. People dedicated to restoring human rights sacrificed in the country's effort to secure its position in the world. In this historic stone, the weapon that both wield.
I guess those were mules outside, not horses.
Though it existed in Great Britain and Europe, as well as in New England, the Southeast, and the Southwest, virtually all known reserves in the world.
That's only about half of the museum. It's a pretty large museum to be free. And then in the very back of it is the Knoebels History Museum. So it's a mining museum and a Knoebels History Museum.
Widespread violence in the southern counties of the anthracite region was frequently front-page news after the Civil War. The secret society of Irish immigrants there, called the Modern Lions, was accused of waging a civil war and intimidation and revenge against uncommon officials.
The Knoebels History Museum is significantly smaller than the mining museum, but Knoebels has a rich history, and it's fascinating to see some of the artifacts that are here from before we ever even knew that the park existed. Time capsule from 2001 to be opened in 2026. That's coming up real soon. That's a great timeline. It's hard to get the whole thing in one shot, but I'll give you an idea. And the completion of Twister in 1999. This is really cool, some old Ferris wheel cars going up to the ceiling. Great balls of fun. Oh, must be a ball pit. This is like the Country Bear Jamboree from Disney, except it's 50s music instead of country. They actually called this Country Bear Jubilee. It's funny. Some old old Phoenix artwork. That's really cool. Oh, hey, it's the names of all the mascots that they've had. How a fun mascot is Creeper. Finally, we know the name of the female Fox character's Piper. I never knew. I've been wondering. There's Cosmo, Billy Bear from the Bear Show, and Dexter the Raccoon. Piper, I have to remember that. I like that the timeline goes all the way up to 2026, the year that they open the time capsule. It'll be interesting to see what else happens that year. Here's a quick look at the classic Cosmo costume from back in 1988. They have a couple of the old mascot heads up at the top of this display case here. One of them, the one on the left, is Billy Penn, based on the pictures on the wall. I'm not sure about the one on the right. Any Knoebels historians who know any more can let me know in the comments. That would be appreciated, because I am curious who that other head is. And then we actually have the old Cosmo head on the far side. One thing I've always enjoyed about Knoebels is their hand-painted signs, and it looks like they've had them for a very long time. These are some cool signs that they have up at the top of the building. The park is flooded on multiple occasions. There's water running right through it, basically, and there are bridges in several different spots. Here's a picture of the flood that occurred in 1996, as well as a picture of the aftermath of it. It's kind of crazy how resilient the park is to flood multiple times and still be standing. Outside the store is a souvenir penny press with 3 penny designs. The Black Diamonds Knoebels penny, a mining museum penny, and a couple of eagles on a tree penny, which are 3 nice designs. And opposite that is Pappy, the fortune-telling miner. He will tell your fortune for $1. That's a funny twist on the usual fortune teller. Past that is a stream of water. Those bags of sand and dirt that I showed you earlier with the gems in them, you can take them out here and dip them in the water. If you haven't seen these at other places, you can pan for the minerals and gems that are inside your bag of sand. And here's a look at the various things you can find in there. At least some of them. I believe you can also find things like fossils and other items in there. There is another list over here. There we go. Some coral, some petrified wood, shark teeth. So yeah, there's a whole variety of things you can find in the sand that you can buy inside that museum gift shop. So that's just a quick excerpt of both the mining and the Knoebels museums. I'm probably going to put this at a little bit of a faster speed just because there wasn't a lot of talking and it was just a bunch of looking at objects. I could probably do a whole video covering the museum in its entirety very thoroughly, but I feel like that would be a little bit dry, so that probably won't happen. But if you're into the history of the park and the history of mining, just history in general, check out this place. This is a hidden gem within the park. I'm upset that we missed it every other time we visited. The food court restaurant is right across from the Roundup ride. Inside there, it's a food court because it has multiple different styles of food. From the right, you first come to the Mexican station. They're closed right now, but when they're open, you can get the 3 amigos as well as the rest of this menu here, including burritos, tacos, quesadillas. They have a kids meal. And then they have what they call the world cuisine over here. Fish and chips, pulled pork on a ciabatta, bison burger, sweet potato fries. They also have the rest of this list, including alligator bites, which they have a sign for outside of the area. Potato cakes, Memphis pork sundae, and a kielbasa. And then the third window over is the American. The third window to the left, they have wraps, BLT, chicken nuggets, chicken sandwich, salads, fries, hamburgers, cheeseburgers, hot dogs. And they also have a hot apple sundae. And I wanted to also take a look at the signage that they have up here because that's really fun for their various chicken dishes. Their chicken sandwiches are something to crow about. Here's the sign advertising the gator bites that I mentioned earlier. I believe we got a picture of this last time, but here's Jen again cheesing for the camera. So that's one of the 3 signs that'll point you to this restaurant. The other is right next to it. The sign saying food court. I'm assuming at some point there used to be something else in here showing their menu, possibly, but they've never had anything there since we've come visiting. And the third and most obvious out in front of the food court is this giant Statue of Liberty. Well, relatively speaking, it's obviously not even nearly close to the actual size of the Statue of Liberty, but it's big enough. The second restaurant that I wanted to spotlight today, right across from the Phoenix Coaster, is what's known as the Phoenix Junction Steakhouse, which opened in 1987. At this restaurant doesn't have quite the variety of the food court, but they offer various fried foods. They have some deep fried chicken, some brisket, great white fish, chicken fingers, mozzarella sticks, onion rings, and different types of fries, some coleslaw. And they also have limited edition ghost fries and mummy fries to celebrate the Haunted Mansion's 50th, as well as a tiger tail, which is a pretzel rolled in cinnamon sugar and striped with caramel and chocolate sauce. So it's not a bad menu, not quite as good as the other restaurant, but they have a lot to choose from here. Another restaurant that we've had a tendency to ignore is the Wharf. It's right across from the miniature golf course, so it's kind of hard to describe the exact location of it. The reason we tend to overlook it is because it's usually closed when we walk by, but they have a sign out in front that shows that they offer gyros, sloppy joes, waffle fries, Italian ice, and more. I'm not sure what the more is because we can't see the menu right now, but I could go for most of those things on that menu, so it sounds like a good place if we can ever get by when it's open. One thing I've always liked about this park, they always give attention and praise to our troops, which, especially this is being recorded shortly after Memorial Day, that's especially relevant right now. So here's an updated look at the progress of the Bayern curve. It seems like it's together, but there's not really a queue line yet. The queue is going to go back this way. This isn't even remotely where I thought it was going to be based on the video that we shot last year. I'd heard a different location, but that was definitely wrong. Still no cars on the track, so I'm not sure when it's going to be open, but at least we can still have a nice view of the Shoot-the-Chutes in the backdrop in the meantime. So that's just a quick look at a few things from Knoebels for the 2023 season. A couple of things that we had never gotten to do before, never gotten to visit, and a couple of the restaurants here that we never recorded previously. There isn't a whole lot that's changed. They have a Bayern curve that's coming, but it's not open yet, so there wasn't a lot to record with that. But otherwise, it's still a fun park. There's still some great food here, great rides. The Haunted Mansion is still fun as always. We hope you enjoyed the partial ride through of it. If you enjoyed the video, we'd appreciate it if you would like it and also subscribe to our channel. Every like and subscribe is a big help to the channel, and also if you could visit our Instagram page, you can see pictures from our visits to the parks as well. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for watching, but the fun's not over yet. Click the box in front of my face for another fun video, or click my tree to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss another video.